Hey, welcome back. All Heart Healthcare Training welcomes you to Module 7. Okay, starting a new day bright and early. Hopefully you got your energy drinks, your coffee, your snacks, whatever you need. Let's snack. Let's get through this. So this module discusses mobility. We're going to go over safely assisting with walking and transferring and falls and preventions. So there will be some skills and discussions about that. And remember, a lot of this is going to be done in class because anything involving a live hands-on skill, of course, we demonstrate live and in class. So this is just a lecture portion. Join me. I hope you enjoy. Turning now over to page 136. Hopefully you're with me there. Learning objectives. By the time we're done, you should know your proper body mechanics when performing tasks outlined in the service plan. You should be able to demonstrate all the critical steps, including the use of assistive devices and common care practices. You should be able to know how to help a client walk safely, and you should know how to transfer a client from the bed to the wheelchair. Okay? Those are the two key critical skills that you're going to be learning in this module. Now, of course, we have key terms, and it is helpful for you to know these key terms, right? Assistive devices, what are they? How are they used? Body mechanics, how do you move your body? How do you position your body? How do you bear weight and structurally support somebody when you're helping them bear their weight? Enablers, things that help people to maintain independence. Not necessarily an assistive device, but something that lets them use a utensil or a hairbrush or something. We'll discuss those more later, of course, but then we've got mechanical lifts, which are devices that'll help you to transfer people from beds to wheelchairs, wheelchairs to other sources. They are mechanical as in like manual. You pump them or you crank them, or some of them are electrical, which you hit a button and it does the job for you. There still, of course, is you helping them into the mechanical or electronic device, but obviously the electronic ones are a little bit easier to use. All of them take a little practice though. So while we do not cover too many mechanical lifting or moving devices in this training, we are going to touch on them. And if you need additional training using, for example, a Hoyer lift or some other kind of device, then I'd like you to let us know, and we can schedule a time to do a private one-on-one, we teach you how to use this for whatever it is you need to use. Okay? Mobility, that just means moving from place to place, surface to surface. It doesn't necessarily mean walking either. You can be mobile in a wheelchair, can't you? Positioning, that's how somebody's appropriately placed while sitting or lying down. And you need to know the different positions so you can describe them if you ever have to write a report about how someone was positioned when something happened. Transfers means moving someone from one place to another. Transfer belt or gait belt is an assistive device you'll use to help them get from place to place, giving you a fair place to grab on if you need to, without having to grab their body. Grabbing the belt's a little better. And a transfer board, which is a flat board that'll let people kind of slide from one place to another. Ideally from a higher place to a lower place, so gravity can help you with the work. So we'll talk about all those as we go through the training here. Basically, the overview is we're interested in making sure that we support the client's ability to move and their independence and their ability to get where they want to go. Preventing injury to them is obviously paramount, so making sure that we're doing this safely and with the proper mechanics to you and to the client, and providing personal care tasks, things along that sort. Now, what do you think some challenges a caregiver could face when helping a client to move might be? I want to hear your stories. So when you come to class, have some ideas or some stories that either you've experienced or that you know of that others have told you about when it comes to helping people move. The more drastic, the more extreme cases, the better, because we all like to hear the harrowing example of having to get someone down the wheels, get someone down the stairs in a wheelchair or something like that. You know, how you did it, how you overcame it. All right, let's jump over to page 137 now, supporting mobility. Mobility is an essential part of a person's independence, isn't it? Being stuck in one place with no way to get anywhere else but that one place does not sound like a lot of fun to me. I can only watch so many episodes of Dragon Ball Z before I'm tired of anime for the day. Okay? I can only sit and play video games for so long because until the PlayStation controller dies and I got to go do something else. But no, in all seriousness, you have to be able to get around and do things. You can't just be sedentary in one spot. And if a client is going through that and expected to live like that, they're going to have a very low quality of life. There's a lot of meaningful activities that involve getting to another place. Access to food, toileting, showering, bathing. There's a lot of things that just, they can't be done as effectively if you can't get to the place where they need to be done, right? Some things can, of course, impact mobility. They can be born with a birth defect, or they can have an illness, or just lack of regular exercise and movement. You know, if someone hasn't been moving around a lot and their muscles have weakened or atrophied, or they were injured and as a result they haven't used their body in a while, they have to essentially relearn how to walk in some cases. So it can be challenging. Maybe it's not a lifelong thing. Maybe it's just an injury-related thing, but it still can be. And of course, right there, physical injury, I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? And medications can affect people's ability to move because of the side effects: weakness, dizziness, upset stomach, nausea, vertigo, all kinds of side effects that can come from medications that, well, they're supposed to help one thing, but they cause another problem, don't they? Now, also, mobility can be reduced because of age-related things. Remember we talked about the changes that are common with people as they age, like the eyesight not getting as good, maybe the hearing getting lost, the ability to touch things, their muscle mass in general, or their nervous system and reflex response. You know, when you're walking, and suddenly you see something on the ground, you're like, whoop, didn't want to step on that. But if you don't have the reflexes or the vision or the ability to see it, now you just stepped on that thing and your leg went out from under you and you rolled and you fell, and now you're not mobile anymore. So fear of injury can also prevent mobility. I can't tell you the number of people who have told me, my client won't take a shower anymore. And when we get to the bottom of why, it's almost always they're afraid of falling in the shower. They don't feel steady. They don't feel safe. They feel like they're going to slip. They don't like stepping over the bath into the shower. Some form of that is usually the reason why they're refusing to shower. Not, I want to be messy. It's because they are afraid of falling. And it's a very legitimate fear. The older you get, the more serious falling becomes. We're going to have a whole talk about falling here in a little bit, but I just want to make sure that we preface it with saying that. Now, limited mobility also can have physical, mental, and emotional effects. Okay, lots of different things here can happen to somebody because they're not moving around enough. The health especially can be affected. I don't see it actually listed there, but mobility directly, in fact, impacts the lymphatic system of the body. The lymphatic fluid that flows through the body and circulates the immune system. It circulates the blood cells and things that need to go where they need to go to get to the diseases and the disorders, not the disorders, the diseases and the infections and the other things, the bacteria, the viruses, whatever it's trying to fight. You're going to get sick more easily if you're sedentary and inactive. Okay? If you're walking constantly, moving, using your muscles, moving everything, you're going to get better faster too. They say rest when you're sick. And with some illnesses, that's the case. But for the most part, it's not a good idea to just rest all day if you're sick. You might feel better, but you're not going to get better faster. Okay? Movement is one of the key things towards good health. Now let's jump over to body mechanics. What are body mechanics? Well, your work as a caregiver probably involves regularly helping clients move to some degree, either motivating them to do it or physically helping them to do it. Helping them move is physically demanding and can cause serious injury to you or the client if it's done incorrectly, but more to you because their weight is on you and your weight is on you, isn't it? Now, proper body mechanics will protect your back, neck, shoulders, knees, and wrist, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, knees, and toes. First of all, you want to be evaluating the situation. Whenever you have to help someone move from point A to point B, look at the situation. Okay? Plan where you need to move them. Consider how much weight you're actually going to have to bear and how far you have to carry it. Use any assistive devices that are available that'll take the weight off of you and put them on the device. That's what they're there for. Walkers, canes, gait belts, Hoyer lifts, whatever you've got that can reduce the amount of weight and stress on your body. Make sure that you perform the move safely and without strain or injury. And if possible, get another person to help you. There's nothing wrong with asking for help with a difficult transfer, especially if there's other members of the family or care team available. Remember, communicate with the client about what you're doing and make sure you understand their preferences and how to do it. But you never do something that you feel unsafe doing. Don't take on a burden of a movement or a transfer if you know in your heart of hearts it's going to hurt you to do it. Okay? Well, I can't let them be. No, if you can't do it, you need to let someone know you can't do it. Okay? Don't be afraid to report these things and ask for help. Think about that. We'll talk about some cases like that. And I'm going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, we're back and we're talking about providing a good base of support. Before you support any weight, make sure your body's steady and in a strong position. Spread your feet shoulder width apart and put one foot slightly in front of the other. This position will help keep you steady and protect your spine. I'm going to go one better with you. Okay? Yep, he moved the podium. Unbelievable. When you're standing and you want to bear weight and you want to move weight easily, especially from one place to another, it's actually better if you stand with one foot in front and one foot slightly to back and turned at an angle. This way it actually gives you some ability to move and rotate your body in a forward or back or side to side motion. If you're just standing front to back, you can be knocked off balance easily. But if you've got your foot turned slightly sideways, you've got a much better stance. If you've ever seen a fighter when they fight, they don't fight like this. They're not standing with their feet straight in front of them, are they? They've got their feet curved in the back and they've got a lower fighting stance and they brace their weight and they're ready to be pushed or knocked around. And you need to be prepared for that too. You need to be prepared for unexpected shifts of weight. If you're helping a client up off the bed, they might suddenly flop to the side. And then you're not going to be prepared for that. And suddenly you're like, whoa, and you're going with them. You got to be careful of that. Remember, unpredictable movement of another person can happen, and it's very commonly the cause of an injury, is you not expecting someone to thrash or move around. So be careful of that. Hope you enjoy the show. All right, now let's move over to page 138. And that's preventing back injury. Oh, yeah, preventing that back injury. Bending at the waist or twisting your body while supporting weight can cause back or spinal injury. You want to make sure that when you're carrying weight of any kind, whether it's a person or a person's belongings or whatever you're carrying around the house, you keep it close to you. Okay? Body weight close to you is supported by your spine and everything like that. Okay? Keep a good posture, hold it close to your body, carry it like that. If you're picking up a human being and you have to get them from one place to another and you have no assistive devices to do it in, then you should hold that person as close to your body as you can and hold them tight and carry them like so that you're not falling forward. You do not want to hold them in this position here where you're cradling them and holding them like this, because this places a lot of weight over here and a lot of strain on your spine. But I see a lot of caregivers do this when they're trying to lift someone for a transfer. Instead of having them sit up and then bring them close to the body and bring them where they need to go, they're lifting and scooping and putting all that weight on their back. And those caregivers inevitably are probably going to wind up with a back injury. So bad body mechanics. Keep your back straight, keep your back and neck straight. Keep your back, feet, and trunk aligned. Do not twist at the waist. And if you need to change direction, you're shifting your feet. Okay? You're not turning your body. The feet move. Okay? Keep the body straight as best as you can. If you keep that body alignment straight, I'm not going to say you're never going to get hurt, but you're going to minimize it significantly. When you do have to lift off the ground or even from a lower position, make sure you're lifting with your legs. Okay? Keep your back and body straight and just go down with the legs and lift up whatever you have to lift up with the legs. Okay? Let the legs do the work. That's where the majority of your muscle is. The back, you got some muscle back there, but that poor spine, you wear that out and it's going to be hurting real bad. Bending at the waist can cause fatigue and injury, so make sure you're bending your knees and lifting with your legs. Hey, look at what it says there. Avoid lifting. So if you have to lift with your legs. But when you can, avoid lifting. What do you mean? Isn't it my job to get this from here to here? Yeah, but you can avoid lifting by pushing, sliding, pulling, anything involving not have to physically lift it off the ground to move it. Also, there are techniques involved where I can show you how to move something very heavy, even heavier than you, without hurting yourself. And I'll show you these techniques in class where you actually can see it being moved. Okay? But now it does, of course, say don't push, pull, or slide a client, because that can cause injury or body skin tears and things. We're talking about items, objects, not clients. So I want to make sure I clarify that. But yeah, we'll discuss proper lifting and we'll demonstrate and practice some proper lifting ideas in class. Okay? Got it? All right, cool. Common care practices with mobility. Now we're back at the top of page 138. With any personal care task, supporting a client's mobility requires skill, doesn't it? Professionalism, understanding, and sensitivity. You're not lifting an object, you're lifting a human being. And being lifted is, it's kind of like a thing of trust, isn't it? You wouldn't trust someone to catch you if you didn't believe in them, would you? They're called trust falls, right? Would you do a trust fall onto someone that you didn't know and didn't trust to catch you? No. And you wouldn't want the client wouldn't expect to trust you to be picked up if they didn't have confidence in you as well. So before you start moving somebody, check on them. Make sure they're comfortable. Make sure they're comfortable with what you're about to do. Make sure you're maintaining their dignity and their privacy. Speak clearly and respectfully, explaining what you're doing, and listen to what they say in response. Take your time. Don't rush, but also encourage the client to do as much as they can to assist with the process. And of course, we're going to use our assistive devices and whatever mechanical things we have to help us with the process. And ultimately, if you find any safety concerns with the way the process is being done, like the Hoyer lift has frayed edges and it looks like it's about to break, or the gate belt doesn't close properly because the buckle's loose, or something like that, report it. Bring it up to the people in charge of making those changes and fixes, and make sure people know about it so that there doesn't become a problem that could have been easily avoided. We don't want to fall. The last thing we want is a fall. The other last thing we don't want is an injury from you. Okay? All right, let's jump over to page 139 now. Okay, 139. This is the one about assisting a client to walk. Now, in class, we're going to do this skill. We're going to demonstrate it, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to go over it. So I don't need to talk too much about the skill in the book. That's not part of the lecture portion. But remember, people may need support when they're walking for a variety of reasons. Remember, injuries, weaknesses, other conditions can make walking difficult or challenging and can increase the risk of falls. So as I said in class, we're going to talk about that. Let's skip over to talking about helping someone climb stairs. Climbing stairs can be challenging for a person with limited mobility. Before helping someone up or down stairs, make sure you know the client's diagnosis and their baseline ability to climb stairs. Okay? If they can't climb stairs, typically they'll be able to tell you, I don't do stairs. Okay? If you're not sure if they can do stairs, look at their basic walking ability and then kind of extrapolate, well, I think they could, or I don't think they could climb stairs. And then you'd make the judgment call to them about, hey, I think we can manage these stairs if you're willing to try. I'm here to support you. Okay? If you're walking with someone's stairs, make sure you're using a gate belt for safety so you have something to hold on to and it doesn't slip out of your grasp. Gate belts are real easy to hang on to. Hold it with one hand and put your other hand near the client so that if they have a weaker side, obviously you choose the weak side, but you're there to support them if they need you. Okay? When they're going downstairs, you stand on their weaker side if you can walk side by side with them. They should hold the handrail on the strong side and be stepping down with the weak side first. If they're using a cane, make sure the cane goes down first before the weak leg goes down because they're supporting that weak leg, aren't they? So make sure that cane and then the weak leg and then, okay, ready? And, oh, there we go. Other stair. Good to go. Make sure the caregiver is keeping each foot on a different stair and only step when the client's not stepping. Okay? One stair here, one stair here. This way you've got your balance. You're not standing on one stair, easily pushed down or off. And also, only stepping when they're not stepping. So they take a step, you're the support. Then, okay, you're down, good. Hang on, let me step down. 1, 2. Okay, let's take the other step. Boom, just like that. You do that with 2 steps, you do that with 20 steps. Okay? Make sure that you are the thing that prevents the client from falling if they are going to fall. Okay? And by that, I mean in the event that they're going to fall, I don't recommend that you reach up with your hands and try to stop them. What I do recommend is that you reach out for the armrests or the handrails of the stairs and grab onto those and brace your body. And if they fall into you, you're holding onto those handrails. That way you don't go and the client doesn't go. If you don't think you're strong enough to do this, I don't recommend tackling stairs. Okay? So think about that. We'll have a talk about whether or not you think you're good enough to tackle stairs, and I'm going to take a little break. Okay, did you take the stairs? All right, good. Let's jump over now to page 140. Okay, 140. This is a little bit more about stairs, but again, when sorry, I gotta pop my ears for some reason. I think I'm up high. When you're going upstairs, you'd stand behind the client, right? Because how are they going to fall? They would most likely fall backwards, not forwards. If the client's coming downstairs and they fall backwards onto the stairs, yep, they're going to get hurt. They're going to bump their butt. They're going to injure themselves, but they're not going to go rumble, tumble, tumble all the way down because you're there to stop them. Just like if they're coming downstairs, going upstairs, you still are going to stand behind them. This way, if they do fall back, brace. You got it? They're going to fall into you and maybe fall. In worst case, they're going to fall down onto one stair sitting down. But if they fall forward, worst case scenario, they fall forward. In that case, it is okay to grab onto the client as opposed to here, because you don't need to brace. You want to stop them from falling. And while you might not be able to completely prevent them from falling, it's about minimizing the risk of injury during the fall. Okay? If I just stand here and I fall like a tree and I hit the ground, I'm probably going to hurt myself pretty bad. I'm a heavy dude and I'm not that young, so I'm likely to hurt myself if I fall flat on the ground. But if I fall on the ground and there's two people here that are there to slow my fall so I don't hit quite as hard, I'm not going to get hurt as bad, maybe not at all. And so it's about slowing the fall as best as you can. You're not going to be able to prevent every client from falling, but you can do what you can to slow the fall, but don't hurt yourself in the process. Trying to stop a fall is a good way to hurt yourself. You're better off easing them gently to the ground as opposed to stopping the fall altogether. Then once they're on the ground, we assess for injuries and we go from there. We'll talk more about falls later, like I said. Encourage the client not to bend too far forward or too far backward, because you can go off balance doing that, of course, and do your best to assist them. If necessary, if they start to get weak or dizzy or they think they're going to fall, just help them sit down on the stairs until they're feeling better. And if they're stuck, they're stuck. They're not your fault. You did the best you could. Now they can't get up or down. What do? You call for help. You call another member of the care team if they're available, another family if they're close by, or if you're out and about and there's nobody there to help you, call 911. Have someone help you there. Okay? But come on, get back up. We can do it. If they're already sitting down on the stairs, they're probably out of gas. Any ideas of how you can promote someone's privacy and dignity while assisting them to climb and walk stairs? Let's hear about those in class. How about assistive devices for walking? All right, let's see here. We are on page 140, so make sure we're following along. And walkers. Clients who can bear weight on their legs but are unsteady or need help with balance would use walkers. The walkers are not designed to bear the full weight of the client. It's going to be very hard to move if they're just holding on to it, completely elevating their body weight and just shuffling along. That's a recipe for tipping over. So they need to be able to bear weight with their legs and let their weight hang a little bit. And they're just using this to steady and support and take a little weight off the legs so stepping and walking is easier. But it's not designed for people who can't bear weight easily. Remember that. Encourage people to use the walker properly. Make sure that some wheels slide and others are picked up and placed forward. And depending on what walker you have, you're going to use that properly. We have walkers here. We'll show you how to use those during class. Make sure they're not leaning into the walker, and don't pull on the walker when standing up. Okay? Because again, when you're standing up, the walker is not heavy at all. It's very light. So if they think they're going to grab onto this to stand up, it's just going to fall down towards them and they're going to fall back in their chair. Best case scenario. Worse, they hit the floor. We will discuss walkers more in class because that's an observation and discussion skill. Canes, right? Straight canes are for balance. And again, they're not designed to bear weight. You can take a little weight off the leg using the cane, but it's, again, not something that you can put your full body weight on and just be like hobbling. It's not a crutch. It's way too unstable to be a crutch, but it is a useful device. We'll demonstrate canes in class as well. Also, crutches. I'll be showing you guys how crutches are used, how to use them. You guys will practice walk around with crutches and see how it feels in case you've never used crutches before. You're going to just feel them in class. So we will discuss that as well. And braces. Now, braces are a different kind of animal because braces are actually something that don't normally go on and off of the person. Usually somebody who wears a brace, they're going to wear it pretty much all day. Sometimes people will put braces on just for the purposes of moving from one place to another, but it's not too common. Usually an assisted device is used in that case. A brace means I'm going to be out all day, I'm going to be moving around a lot, and I need constant support while I'm doing this. Oftentimes braces are used for injury as well, but they can be used for conditions that people have had their whole lives. They're usually custom made for somebody with protective padding, and there could be a prescribed schedule for use and rest. It's important to watch for skin breakdown and sores because braces do hold they hold tight, and they are tight and they're strapped tight, and they can rub and they can get friction, especially if you're going all day with a brace. You're going to see redness and you're going to see swelling and you're going to see maybe some skin breakdown at the end of the day if they already have weak or thin or easily abrased skin. So be looking for that. Braces are good, but there's a danger with using them and they have to be carefully monitored. Okay, so think about that. Let's jump over now to page 141. 141. This is the transfer client from bed to wheelchair skill. Of course, we're going to be doing this skill in class as well. I'll be demonstrating on you. You'll be demonstrating on each other. You'll get some hands-on technique practice for this one. But basically just transferring, you'll be doing a few things here. You're going to be helping the client sit up in bed. There's a number of different ways you can do this, and we're going to discuss how to make sure it's done safely and effectively in class. There's a few things here that say if the client can't do this or if they can't do that, and we will discuss those and I'll demonstrate them in class so you can see what we mean by them. But for the most part, when you're tested, you're going to be just simply sitting someone up in bed that needs very little assistance. You're going to move them from lying down to sitting up in one smooth fluid motion. Very easy. Okay, so assistive devices for transfers. There are transfer boards that'll let people slide from their bed to their wheelchair, which we will demonstrate in class, but you're not going to use these during the test or during the skill observation and demonstration session. You'll only use the transfer belt, the gait belt, for that portion of it. However, I want you to be familiar with the transfer bed, so we're going to show you how those work. Okay? Jump over to page 142 now. And the transfer belt. The transfer belt, otherwise known as the gait belt, is what we will be using in class primarily when it's time to move people from one place to another. Okay? We're going to show you how to put them on, how to take them off, how tight they should be, where to put your hands on them, and how to get them through those pesky little buckles to make sure those tiger teeth chomp the belt. Okay? So we're going to show you all that stuff in class, this part of the lecture portion. But some things you need to know about transfer belts. What happens if your client needs one and doesn't have one? Well, normally, if you're working for a good agency or an organization, transfer and gait belts are readily available to be given to you to help with your client. Your client will almost always have one if one is needed for something they're doing. That's one of those things that's really not hard to get into a client's home. But if you have a client that you walk in on day one and they need help getting out of their bed and they don't have a transfer belt, well, either it's somewhere in the house and they don't know where it is, or they straight up don't have one. Either way, they need one, don't they? So let your supervisor know that you need a transfer belt for your client as soon as possible. And you'll probably get one as soon as possible. I can't say that's the same with every agency, but the good ones will make sure you have a transfer belt. Okay? And if you don't have one, then maybe you need to talk to the case manager, the DSHS case manager, and say, hey, case manager, you know the person in charge of my client's health and safety besides me? I can't safely do this thing without a transfer belt. Can we maybe get one in the client's home? And a lot of times they'll just say, you know what, go ahead and buy one and we're going to reimburse you through a voucher. Sometimes they do that. So whatever method they use, it's a problem that can be solved. Don't let it dissuade you from doing your job. Now we talk about draw sheets too, getting off transfer belts, but draw sheets. Those are like small bed sheets, or you can use like a regular sheet folded in half if you don't have a draw sheet, that you can use to slide a client. The idea is that this is the safe way to slide a client that can't be moved via lifting, okay? or they can't be rolled for whatever reason. You get the draw sheet under the client, and you use that draw sheet to slide them holding the draw sheet. This way their body's not sliding across the surface. The draw sheet is a protective barrier between the client and the surface. I'll show you these also in class, but I want to make sure you understand those as well. Okay, this looks like a pretty good place for me to take a break. We're going to take a break. We'll come back up and talk about mechanical lifts when I get back.